Hey guys, hope you guys are having a good Sunday today. Topic of today I want to talk about. Obviously, I try to base my topics off of current events that are actually going on. Is how to deal with defeat. If you're in arm wrestling, or if you're involved in life in general, you're gonna have to deal with defeat. And there's a couple things to take from it. Depending on what kind of defeat you're experiencing or anything like that. And something I learned is in arm wrestling is sometimes newer guys or somebody like Levon, and Devin, they're from opposite ends of the world, and so people can speculate and people can talk. But when Levin has only pulled one or two, legit competitive starts in the top eight, besides him just pulling now, previous to that, we don't really have a whole lot of data on him. Like, for instance, Richard Lupke's, he's been kind of flying under the radar. You still see him on social media, but he's taking care of his wife right now. His wife just came out of a surgery. And so Richard, obviously, he's way older. Okay, I understand that, but he's still a big human, and he's still in tip-top shape. So his wife may get better, and he may step out, and he may want to pull. Let's say him and Derek Smith are gonna pull. Like, where's Rich? What's Rich's level? Nobody knows. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, maybe you should face Levon. But what I'm saying is that, these elite guys, that when people like Jerry Caderet hasn't arm wrestled in a couple years, but that doesn't guarantee that his level is going to be less than. Because I think some of these guys, they arm wrestle and they're all maybe go through injuries and get tweaks and different stuff, and they just work through it. Like, I know Michael Todd's done that a lot, because in his career he's had to straight change his style. Like, he used to be a hook, he used to be a shoulder roller, and then he was also like a defensive hook puller, where he would just automatically go into and even with his hand gone, he would sit there and hold, gas people out, and then pin them. And so, but I think because of Michael Todd's elbows and not getting surgery, and now he has this, can only go this way and then out to there, and he can't even initiate a hook anymore. Somebody's got to hit him into it, because he just doesn't have the supination and all. All that's from different elbow injuries and stuff, and having to adapt and learn how to arm wrestle through losses. And Michael Todd's actually, if you want to know how to deal with a loss, Michael Todd's normally, or actually, one of the best guys to study. Not because he just had this recent, kind of a bad go in his past couple rounds, but I'm saying just throughout time, he is one of the ones that could channel all his losses into motivation, and he could channel them into, sets in the gym and all that, and all this stuff, instead of, I've even taken some bad losses and kind of allowed it to demotivate me and say, oh, well, it's going to take too long to catch those guys, and, I'll never pull pro, or it's going to take too long to be relevant and competitive. And that's just the wrong, don't put, I know for me, I learned not to put time limits on myself, this ain't no race. So the best thing to do is just chug along. Being consistent. It's something I've learned through weight training my whole life, and I'm no guru, is that consistency pretty much trumps everything. I'm not saying consistency, trumps genetics and trumps just being super crazy strong, but I'm saying, as far as if you take a look at your own life and your own, gains to be had within your own goals and within your own physicalities and stuff, that I think consistency brings one of the best results there is. And that is one thing I will say, that amongst the different trainings of Todd, Hutchings, Monster Michael Todd, and then Devin, and then some of these other guys, even John Brasink, some of these other guys in their training and their progression over the years, the one common denominator is going to be consistency. Devin's always hitting his workouts. Michael Todd is always in there with Rebecca doing his PB or his PBR, cutting up, and his doing his rounds with the rope puller and the wrist rolls, and then he pins that art arm, and so it's all consistency. He's putting the miles in, and because of all that, your body adapts. Just like your yard adapts. If you don't cut the grass for 2 months, then the grass and the weeds and everything, it just starts growing. Well, your body's going to do the same thing. You put it under the same amount of tension all the time, where you're just doing the same workouts, and you're being consistent with whatever it is, your body's going to adapt to the pressures. So let me just give you a quick little free side note, which is my own personal opinion. And that is, that's why I like free weights. I like free weights because, when you sit down on it, like let's just say if I'm gonna get into an overhead press machine, okay? So I sit down, I reach over, I change the pin, I'm gonna warm up, boom. Okay, I don't have any weight on me until I do this. Okay, now I've just lifted the weight stack off the ground, okay? But I can just come to a resting position and just chill. Okay, and so now I go to push, and okay, my back is leaned up against something. I'm having to tighten my core. I'm having to kind of brace. But the range of travel for that machine is already dictated for me. It's on where I'm going to grab it here. It's going to be like on a hinge like this. Okay, and so any of my stabilizers or muscles or anything else is just not engaged as much. But now if I reach down and grab a big barbell, pick it up off the ground, and then rack it up to here, I'm going to do some overhead press. Well, now my whole body's engaged, having to stabilize the weight. When I lift it over my head, I have to keep it from going this way. It doesn't have its own track to travel in, so I have to do the whole thing. And that's with a barbell. So now if I switch to dumbbells, now they can go this way, they can go everywhere. And so, overhead pressing like this, to me, you're going to get a lot more having to stabilize that weight. And so, in my opinion, you should go for dumbbells as often as possible because of the stabilization and everything else. There's also another place for machines and for pulleys and all that. I was just simply saying, don't rob yourself of all the stabilization, of all the core work you're going to have to get just by having to hold and stabilize the weight by hopping on machines. And there's something to be said for that. Some of the old time strength guys, they're stuck on old school weight, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's the difference between lifting in the gym and actually having an arm wrestling partner. An arm wrestling partner pulls all the kind of different ways. They absorb and change and adapt. The weight, just the weight. But anyways, use your losses as motivation. Don't beat yourself up. Say, you know what? I've got to adapt to the pressure, and you will build.